10,
9,
8,
7,
6,
5,
4,
3,
2.
1. You got me on?
Yeah, you're on.
What's going on around us?
Redeem the time, because the days are evil.
The Bible has not changed!
Boldly proclaim the restoration and preservation of Christian values in America.
Satan has brainwashed a whole nation.
As goes the church, so goes the nation.
Nobody's convicted of anything anymore.
And now, here's Last Call with your host, B.J. Edwards.
Feels like I've been holding my breath, trying to steal my restless heart.
Good morning, brothers and sisters in Christ and fellow Earth travelers. Along with Mr. Anderson and in honor of Mama Jeannie, you're listening to your Last Call on WTVOradio.com. Brought to you by Minutemen United. As goes the family, so goes the church, and as goes the church, so goes the nation. If you'd like to call in, we are taking calls the first hour, 614-423-4220. I don't think we're going to be taking them the second hour. If you want to call in the first hour, 614-423-4220. I see where President Trump took a break from his firing White House patriots when he pardoned controversial former Arizona Sheriff Joe Arpaio this week. But I got to ask the question, what about the elephant in the room? Elephant? I say that because Ammon Bundy and 10 others are still being held, and I believe it's now up to 19 months without bail. Some of the defendants have been fortunate to have a trial and are now in their third round of trials. Unbelievable. This week, we got good news. The jury acquitted 2 defendants in the Bundy Ranch case of all charges against them. They were deadlocked on 2 others, Scott Drexler and Eric Parker, both of Idaho. Both were released from prison on Tuesday evening, but discovered on Wednesday that the government, who could not make their case to the jury twice before, wanted to try them again. Can you imagine Mr. Anderson going through, I'm going to talk about the financials, I'm just going through the angst of being in prison and then getting the elation of being found not guilty, or they couldn't find you guilty, and then boom, right back you go.
It's insane. It's not what our country. That's un-American. That's not our nation.
19 months. 19 months. Rumor has it that the prosecution is now taking this personally, with the acting Nevada U.S. Attorney Steve Meyer twice having called one of the defendants a coward during a recent court hearing. The newest move also pushes back the trials for 11 other defendants in the 2014 Bundy Ranch standoff, including Nevada rancher Cliven Bundy, his sons Ammon and Ryan Bundy, who has spent over a year and a half in prison while awaiting their day in court. There are still 11 defendants who remain incarcerated for the past 19 months without a trial, and the court's actions continue to infringe on the rights of these men. For the record, the Speedy Trial Clause of the Sixth Amendment of the United States Constitution provides that in all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy trial. The clause protects the defendant from delay between the presentation of the indictment or similar charging instrument and the beginning of the trial. Do you think that 19 months is speedy? Now, on the Sixth Amendment alone, Donald Trump should and could pardon the Bundys and company, but instead, well, By the way, if you're able and like to help the Bundy Ranch political prisoners win their case against the tyranny of the central government, or would like to write them, please go to my Facebook page, BJ Edwards, BJ Edwards. If you'd like to support a house in Nevada that is caring for wives and children of these men as they attend the trials, there's information links on the post as well. Also try to get this information up on the Natural Family webpage. This is just incredible. 2, what I would consider very good family men are being kept from their families. Not only not getting a fair and speedy trial, but being kept from their families. This is just incredible. Wow. Speaking of presidential actions, yet another, in my humble opinion, good guy was fired from the White House. Well, I'm sorry, he resigned. This week's contestant was Sebastian Gorka, and I like this guy. I've heard him on TV, and he's really good. I like him a lot. Sebastian Gorka, in his resignation letter, Mr. Gorka expressed unhappiness with the direction of the Trump administration's foreign policy and what has been taken, and signaled by the president's recent speech on Afghanistan. Regrettably, outside of yourself, Mr. President, the individuals who most embodied and represented the politics that will make America great again have been internally countered, systematically removed, or undermined in recent months. This was made plenty obvious as I read the text of your speech on Afghanistan this week, Sebastian was quoted. The fact that those who drafted and approved the speech removed any mention of radical Islam or radical Islam terrorists provides the critical element of your presidential campaign, which has been lost. Then there's the racism issue.
That's a joke.
I got this from Mike Huckabee. It's an interesting poll result from Georgia. There's yet another poll showing that a large portion of public agree with the President Trump that the blame for the Charlottesville violence was not all one-sided. But this poll is particularly interesting because it involves those closest to it. Mass Inc. polling found that 41% of Virginians blame the left and right equally. So some of the news has gotten out, folks. Some of the news has gotten out. While 40% put most of the blame on the white nationalist. It also found that by a 52 to 25 margin, Virginians think Confederate monuments represent history, not racism. However, only 30% approve of the way Trump responded to the violence. Judging from the way it was covered by the media, I wonder if they realize he responded to it pretty much the way most of them did. And what about reparations? Oh, man. Here's where we separate the generally repentant white liberals from the fashionable value signalers. A self-described core organizer of Black Lives Matter, Louisville, issued a list of reparations that she thinks white people owe to black people. They include downsizing your living space and giving your house to a black and or brown family. White people.
What?
Here are 10 requests from a Black Lives Matter leader. Was written by Chanel Helm, who promotes reparations for minorities with hashtags such as "Run us our land, run us our money." Helms claimed that those inheriting property should sell it to minority families because, as she says, you're bound to make that money in some other white privileged way. She also claimed, don't you use that every day, Mr. Anderson?
My white privilege?
You just step outside the door, say, "Hey, I'm white," and you wait for the van to roll up with all the money in it.
Yeah. And I always get front line whenever I walk into a restaurant or whatever.
That's true. You get waited on first.
Yeah.
Yep.
Guy gets seated right away. Other people wait.
Yep, yep. She also claimed that people who ignore racism are complicit in it. White people, especially white women, because that is y'all's specialty, Nosy Jenny and Meddling Kathy, get a racist fired. Y'all know what the F they be saying. You're complicit when you ignore them. Get your boss fired because they racist too. Helms also called on housing developers to allow minorities to live for free. If you are a developer or a realty owner of a multifamily housing, build a sustainable complex in a black or brown blighted neighborhood and let black and brown people live in it for free. That's what capitalism is all about, right?
I'm going to work on my tan.
She also urged just wear a mask like the rest of them do, Mr. Anderson. You won't be able to tell the difference. She also urged white people to give up the home you own to a black or brown family if you can afford to downsize. The concept of reparations has gained momentum of late. The movement for Black Lives, for instance, lists a myriad of target areas including college tuition, living expenses, and even the revamping of educational curricula from a top-down level. Master, can I eat today? Master, can I have a house today? Master, can I go to church? Master, can I go to school? Master, let me do this. Master, let me do that. Slavery isn't dead, is it? It's alive and well in America.
Yeah, I'm working for the unworkable.
And after the statutes come down and history is rewritten, we're going to be spending our time on reparations, which will never, ever be complete. You think about that. You think about that. I can't wait to listen to Mason Weaver later on the show. Woo-hoo. Mason tells it like it is. Oh, man. Since 1989, Representative John Conyers, Democrat from Michigan, has repeatedly introduced a bill creating a commission to study the effects of slavery and appropriate remedies for it. These efforts are largely backed by a 2016 UN study which found that racial terrorism on the past warranted reparations for black people. Racial terrorism. You know, there's an awful lot of liberty celebrities, politicians, and news media figures living in houses much larger than they really need. I think Barack Obama probably has some extra room where he's living now, right?
Oh, I'm sure he does. Mm-hmm. I think he's got a couple of houses he doesn't even use.
Yeah, that's true. And lecturing hard-working Americans who are just trying to keep a roof over their heads about how racist they are. Here's your chance. Put your mansions where your mouth is. This is not about racism. This is not about reparations. This is about common sense. And it should be about unity. E pluribus unum. I don't own any slaves. Never have. My father didn't own any slaves. He never had. Or mother. Nor my grandfather. As a matter of fact, I believe it was my grandfather or great-grandfather who ran the Underground Railroad in southern Ohio and got hung for his efforts. So I guess maybe I need some reparations, huh?
Yeah, I think you should get some free housing. Mm-hmm. And maybe some servants with it.
And I'm not and I'm stopping, Mr. Anderson. And I'm not alone, please. This is just absolutely insane, and that we allow it to happen. But we have representatives, and I don't keep electing them. I keep voting against them, but my neighborhood keeps re-electing them, and they keep renewing school levies that teach that whitey is bad, that whites in history are bad. I told you before on previous shows, that the white male, especially the white male Christian baby boomer, is the most discriminated individual in the United States, perhaps the world, that is being discriminated against. That's who's really being discriminated against. Absolutely amazing. When we come back, we're going to listen to the Virginia governor and why he's a good example of the type of leaders we need to get rid of. B.J. Edwards, along with Mr. Anderson, your last call, WTVOradio.com.
Last Call with B.J. Edwards. Real talk about real life on WTVOradio.com.
By the way, J.B. Williams, happy birthday, brother.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Happy birthday.
We don't do that for just anyone, JB.
No, we don't. We have a few special people we
Yep.
remember, if we remember.
Yep.
Sometimes I don't even remember my own.
After Charlotte, there's been a lot of knee-jerk reactions to what has happened there. And again, this is you can't run a nation on emotions. You can't do that. You can't do it well. You can do it, but you can't do it well, and it won't end up well. But we had a lot of knee-jerk reactions. In Columbus, Ohio, there were statues torn down. I think some painted. Is that what America's about?
There was that fake news article that Delaware was digging up, in Delaware, Ohio, they were digging up Confederate graves and exhuming the bodies.
Wonderful.
I was like,
no, we laugh, but it has. If it keeps going, you have to have something every week. Once the statues come down, you got to dig the graves up. Come on, while you're re-editing history, you've got to do that to make a certain group of people happy.
You laugh or get mad, right?
Yep.
And that's what the whole point is. They're trying to make us mad, even with the fake stories.
Yeah.
It's like it's stirring the boiling pot.
They're trying to make us emotional like they are.
Yeah.
But you have to look. You have to react to things. If somebody swings at you, you got to react to protect yourself. But it's kind of like on the football field, when you see the referee throw a flag, it's always on the guy that retaliates, isn't it? It's never on the guy that calls the issue. Boy, why don't they use instant replay for that? Just absolutely amazing. But anyway, there was a lot of knee-jerk reaction. There's a lot of politicians that are swallowing hard. Or maybe not. Maybe they've been waiting for this opportunity to dig up bad feelings so they can get more power. Because that's what this is about. Who do you expect to take care of this? You expect master to take care of that, right? You know who the master is in USA, don't you? That's the state. The state's the master. The one that gives you the check. The one that clears the way for you, the one that passes the law that makes you feel special but further enslaves you to them. And so when somebody comes along and tries to change that, instead of welcoming that, that's right, you go to master, don't you? Master, you see what they did, master? Make them stop, master. Slave master. Slavery is not dead. It is alive and well in the United States. And it encompasses all collars, by the way. All collars. All ethnicity, if you will. Would you take care of that, Mr. Anderson? Anyway, I have one solution. Just as I try to please everyone in everything I do, not seeking my own advantage, but that of many, that they may be saved. It is certain that we live in a very difficult time in the United States. There are different hate groups. They are fighting amongst themselves. In a recent battle, there was a fatality in Charlottesville. There were fightings among the groups of those who are in right and on the left of political ideologies. This causes deep tension and friction among many peoples of this country. The media is now reporting about conservative activists that were in Boston. Those people are standing for free speech. The thought of those who believe in changing the view of free speech is quite disconcerting. Thank the Lord the country is allowed to have rallies to show your particular view. All of these recent squabbles are full of confusion for the nation to behold. What does Scripture say about confusion? In Corinthians it says, God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. It is certain that the devil is active in our beloved land to bring it down to the forces of evil. With all the fighting going on in these turbulent times, how can a Christian make it in the middle of this turmoil? And that's a great question. What as a Christian can you do? How can you help? First of all, critical, we must leave our safe pews and go out and bless others who are sometimes caught up in the tension, friction, and quarreling of various views. Let us reach out to the lost as we please them by sharing with them the good news. Has God brought the immigrants to our land to share the gospel with them? It is certain the sovereign Lord of heaven has made sure that his perfect will is at the heart of those who have chosen salvation. May we have God's desire while loving all people with the gospel of Christ. Will we not be like the apostles? Paul pleased men by sharing the gospel. He is certain that he would not be caught up in sharing a false gospel. He was a servant to Christ. Are you a servant to Christ today? The next time there's a Charlottesville, why not go there and witness for Christ? Think about that. But it's dangerous, BJ. Yeah, it might be dangerous. You say, well, you'll give everything for God, right? Why not sacrifice a little effort and time? Dangerous, perhaps, but necessary. But necessary. These are troubling times. And I'm going to get to that item. I don't know whether I can get to that or not. Mr. Anderson took the mouse away from me. If I can get to that Virginia governor for you.
Oh, yeah.
Is it ready to play?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the Virginia governor up here in reaction to, is that the one I hit? Up there? Yeah. In reaction to what happened in Charlottesville. Listen to this. Listen to the insanity of this. I got it or don't? Not playing? Maybe we got to go down.
Shock. I'm Governor Roy Cooper. Last
Virginia.
weekend I watched with horror the events in Charlottesville. It was shocking to see the racism, deadly violence, and white supremacy displayed so publicly. It started with a Confederate monument, stone and metal, inanimate, and yet more provocative now than ever. Unlike an African-American father, I'll never have to explain to my daughters why there exists a monument for those who wish to keep her and her ancestors in chains. Some people cling to the belief that the Civil War was fought over states' rights, but history's not on their side. We can't continue to glorify a war against the United States of America fought in the defense of slavery. These monuments should come down. Our Civil War history is important, but it belongs in textbooks and museums. I understand the frustration of those fed up with the pace of change, but after protesters took down a monument in Durham, I said there was a better way. My first responsibility as governor is to protect North Carolinians and keep them safe. The likelihood of protesters being injured or worse as they may try to topple any one of the hundreds of monuments in our state concerns.
You hear what he's saying? He wants to take the monuments down because those that would vandalize them, break the law, might hurt themselves. Did you hear what he said? He wants to protect the people that want to disobey the law. Incredible. Just absolutely incredible.
It's me. And the same kind of white supremacists we saw in Charlottesville could swarm the site, weapons in hand, in retaliation.
Really? Come on. I mean, really? I mean, how many white folk do you know that get up on a Saturday morning, grab their guns, and go down to their local courthouse waiting for somebody to take a monument down? Is that what we have in America? Is that the real picture? Give me a break.
I plan to move forward.
Democratic governor.
First, the North Carolina
governor.
legislature must repeal a 2015 law that prevents removal or relocation of monuments. Second, I've asked the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources to determine the cost and logistics of removing Confederate monuments from state property, as well as alternatives for their placement at museums or historical sites. Third, the North Carolina legislature should defeat a bill that grants immunity from liability to motorists who strike protesters. Terrorists should find no safe haven in our state. Conversations about race and our past are never simple or easy. They're deeply personal and emotional. But we must do what we know is right, and we must do it the right way. Thank you.
Well, I'll amen that, but Governor, you aren't even close. You aren't even close to resolving the issue. You want to protect criminals, potential criminals, if they're tearing it down. You want to protect them. You want to keep them from hurting themselves. You don't want them falling down. I can remember on the TV that everybody saw on YouTube, the lady that was tearing down, or that put the rope around the statue on a man. I mean, I have fear of heights, and my goodness, you never catch me up on that ladder. And she took some chances. Very agile, but it was just absolutely crazy to see what was going on there. So I'm sure the governor saw that and was, oh my goodness, she might fall. Shouldn't be up there in the first place. Two wrongs don't make a right, Governor. We have an issue in America. We have a racial issue in America, among other things. And we keep picking that scab. We will not let it heal. I said last week, in my circle of friends and in my neighborhood, I don't know anybody that is a racist, active or passive. I don't have a group of people that I meet with and we stay up all night finding new ways to discriminate against somebody because of their ethnicity. It doesn't happen. Although, if you were to stop watching TV, stop watching the news. It'll drive you crazy. They're indoctrinating you. Look around. If what you see live doesn't match what you see on TV, half of what you see and nothing you hear, is that the old expression? Then act on it. Got it? I don't know, Mr. Anderson. I didn't bring it in with me. We're trying to get a caller.
Hi, Roger, are you there?
Roger, are you with us?
Can't understand. No.
We're going to take a quick break. This is B.J. Edwards along with Mr. Anderson, your last call, WTVOradio.com. Faith and discussion.
Faith, discussion, and so much more. Last Call with B.J. Edwards on WTVOradio.com.
Mr. Anderson is working on getting a caller, but give us a call, 614-423-4220. What are your thoughts on racism in America? By the way, is this subject going to be good for a month? 6 months? Is it going to last up to the next gubernatorial and the next House and the next Senate elections? Because Democrats, I don't know whether they started this. Well, actually, they did. Democrats did start this a long time ago. And I can see why they want to take down some of the evidence of what they did. But this is just what is happening in the United States is unreal. It's being fed.
Do you hear Roger?
No, I can't hear can't hear Roger. Is he on?
Well,
He's off now.
he's still there.
Is he?
I don't know why I'm not. Something.
We told you last week that a group of Muslims Americans were all in when it comes to getting rid of statues and monuments to slavery in America. But hold on there just a minute, the mini breath. There, you can hook him up here. Hook him up here. I guess I'll hook him up here. Roger, are you on the air with us? Roger, I think we got you. I'm not sure. You can probably hear us, but there you go. You hit something. Roger, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can. I'm sorry about that. We got a new soundboard, and our technician is OJT. So, thanks for calling in, Roger. What's on your mind?
Well, here is my comment again. And first of all, appreciate your program and want to encourage you to keep pushing it out. Can't be huge overnight, but over time and consistency, more and more people are listening to you. So keep doing the good work.
Appreciate you, brother.
Again, the thing I want to say about the whole issue of the statutes, racism, all those issues. Foundationally, we had serious racial issues in this country along the time of the Civil War. I acknowledge it. All my comments are built on that. However, the problems we are facing within our communities now have nothing to do with statutes. They have to do with 75 to 80% of the black families have no father at home. Within the white community, the numbers are a little better, but nothing to brag about. When fathers are removed, young men and young women do not have the guidance they need. There is not going to be any significant improvement in the black community because statutes are coming down. Charles Barkley, the NBA All-Star, Hall of Famer, made it very clear. He and thousands and millions of other people in the black community never thought about statutes until this ruckus started. And it was started by George Soros and the people he paid to show up at rallies. It is the breakdown of the family that is causing significant problems in the white community and in the black community.
We're making a convert out of you. We're making a convert out of you, Roger. Obviously, I appreciate that and understand that. And that really goes to the core of most everything that's happening in America. If you get to the family, now guys, I want you to understand something. We are the ones that are the issue here. We've not taken, number one, control of our families. And as a result, we've allowed either somebody else in the family, could be your wife, could be the children, could be both, to have control over you. Or the state. And we need to take that back. I mean, I used to really levy it on the church, but the church is composed of families. And if those families are weak, in other words, if they're impure, you don't have the father in control, then you got real issues. And I got...
Well...
Go ahead, Roger, please.
No, Jim, you hit the other point. Of those families that have intact fathers around, most of them want to be the kid's best friend.
Yep.
They want to be their best buddy. I'm not here to be my son or daughter's best buddy. I'm here to be their parent. Now, I don't do the greatest job sometimes. However, I'm going to be their parent, not their best friend.
Yeah, I had a discussion with one of my children yesterday, and I asked him a question, and that question basically was, what age do I stop becoming your father? And it's something that we need to recognize, that you never stop being a father. You never stop, as a male, being the leader in that family, especially the moral leader. Now, for some of us that lost it, how do we get it back? That's a great question. I don't think we do it alone. I think we do it with the help of the church, with the help of society. But there's so many, I mean, if you look at some of the cartoons that have been on TV, Family Guy, etc., how they belittle the male in the family. And that's purposeful.
Jim?
Yes, sir.
I agree with you. My role as a father doesn't change. I am the father. My role changes of how I interact with a son, a married son, a daughter-in-law. But the family unit is what is key. And this idea that once they graduate, we're all done is a lie, okay? It's how you interact with them at that time is what is important. But this whole statute thing, it puzzles me, but I also know it's been pre-planned and thrown at us, and I firmly will challenge anybody to tell me statute issues are more significant than dads being home. It's just ludicrous.
Well, Roger, as far as I'm concerned, you hit the bullseye this morning. That is exactly what we need to be talking about. That's what the conversation should be surround, but we're doing everything but that. The Russians, statutes, gay marriage, you name it. It's all around it, either attacking it or ignoring it or getting you involved with something you shouldn't be.
Jim, my last comment would be this. When you have a breakdown of the rule of law, it never remains where the breakdown starts. So, you decide to tear down all the statutes because you don't like them. Mm-hmm. So you break them down. Then law enforcement doesn't do anything because of whatever reason. The breakdown of law never remains where it starts. It always progresses in a bad direction, because when human nature is not restrained, sin takes over. And that's what we're going to see. Statutes will come down now. Freedom of speech will be eliminated a little bit here. And the totalitarian environment, it always grows. It always grows. And it takes in more freedoms.
Roger, again, you're playing my song. I appreciate you, brother. Roger.
Good program.
Thank you, brother. We'll talk to you soon. That's reminded me of a video that I saw this week, which talks about the family. And if I get a chance, I want to get into a cultural watch issue where homosexuals are actually speaking against other homosexuals with regards to homosexual marriage. It's long. We may not get it today. We may have to do it next week. But it's really incredible when homosexuals are honest about what their intention is. Like Marcia Gessen. Their intention is not to improve marriage, not even to become part of it. I mean, they hold their nose when you say, what? You mean a lifetime commitment? Oh, no. No, no, no. We can't have bathhouses? Oh, no, 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 no. Not at all. James MacArthur is a pastor, theologian. Let's listen to what he says about the family.
Or any of these other demonstrations. This is the wretched, fallen human heart feeling like it can rise to any level that is not completely controlled. And let me tell you what gets you there. Number one, the human heart is evil. War is in the heart. Men will kill. That's how they function. But God has built three restraints into society. Restraint number one is in the individual, and it's the conscience. But the conscience reacts to a moral law. So if you have a whole generation of young people that have been taught a twisted, perverted, inverted, upside down, and backwards moral law, then their conscience can't function. The conscience is simply a recognition mechanism that says that's wrong, that's right, that excuses and accuses. But it only can function where there's a sound moral law written in the heart. So you have a whole generation of these people, this generation, who have had a totally perverted sense of what morality is. And the dominant part of this new morality is, I'm the most important person in the world. It's all about me. It's the selfie culture. So conscience is now crippled. Secondly, God put fathers and mothers in a family to bring a rod to discipline people in order to subdue their evil. If the family is destroyed and the family breaks down, then you have no control over those people. So conscience can't function because the moral law has been literally destroyed. Families don't function, so there's no discipline learned. There's no sense of what is right, what is acceptable behavior. And the only institution left that God ordained was the police. And the police were given a sword to subdue those who do evil. When you assault the police long enough that you diminish their authority and the sense of fear and the sense of reverence that a society has to have for those who police them, then all hell will break loose. Conscience isn't functioning,
Which it is.
Family's not functioning, and the police have been stripped of their powers in the social consciousness. You literally have unleashed the human heart at its worst level. This is not about race, and this is not about what happened in America in the past. No one can tolerate white supremacists. No one can tolerate the Ku Klux Klan. One of my dear friends, John Perkins, his brother was killed in front of him by the Ku Klux Klan in the street. No one can tolerate that. That is just one manifestation of the evil of the human heart. And we have only begun to see it once it's unleashed, and it's going to start coming in all kinds of forms because of the breakdown of moral law, the breakdown of the conscience, the breakdown of the family, and because of the incessant assaults on governing authorities. So get ready. I don't think it's going to go away. Okay?
Thank you, Pastor.
You're welcome. Thank you, Paul.
Family, the importance of it. But there's some other points in there that you shouldn't miss. I've said it before. We're in a culture war. And it's a war for the soul of this nation. And we have public opinion that is controlling this wall. He who controls the information controls the world. Look at Google. Look at all the mass media organizations and how they're affecting our freedom of speech, our ability to get our message across. And make no doubt about it, and it was referred to on the audio, today's public opinion makes tomorrow's laws. And tomorrow's laws make tomorrow's morals. If you don't like what you see, it's a direct result of public opinion. Who affects that public opinion? Educational, news media, businesses affected, PayPal, etc. Come on, Google. They all affect. And the church, and most importantly, the family. If you're not a leader in the family, how can you possibly take them to where they need to go? If you've allowed your leadership to be usurped, what can you do? How can you do it? You've crippled yourself, and you have to take that leadership back. I think churches, educational units, institutions should be teaching fathers how to take their proper role in the homes. Having babies is the easy part, guys. Bring them up right. That's the hard part.
Takes a bit of a challenge.
It sure does. It's all learning experience. B.J. Edwards, along with Mr. Anderson, your last call, WTVOradio.com.
Call-in number 614-423-4220. You
Yeah.
got about 15 minutes to share your opinion.
Coming up the next hour, Mason Weaver. Keeping you informed.
Keeping you informed. This is Last Call with B.J. Edwards.
Hey, this is B.J. Edwards, and this is My World.
Who's invited?
Everyone's invited. Just know who the leader is here, okay? Just know who the head honcho is. I rudely interrupted myself earlier. I was starting about talking about what we talked about last week, where a group of Muslim Americans were all in when it comes to getting rid of statutes and monuments to slavery in America. But hold on there just a minute, Dimini Breath. In all things balance, as they say. As history is being rewritten to tarnish whites, especially our founders, and inherently evil, there's just one itsy-bitsy little problem. Arabs, not George Washington nor Thomas Jefferson, but the followers of Muhammad, not only started the slave trade, they, Muslims, continue to hold 27 million Africans as slaves today. Now you hear that on the news almost every day, don't you, Mr. Anderson? It's kind of sickening to hear all that. It just drives you crazy. Just drives you crazy. Just tired of hearing it. Well, you're going to hear more of it here.
From BJ, right?
Right. A brief history of slavery that left-wing controlled American school systems and media will not tell students. The largest concentration of slaves, and by the way, you know where the name of slaves comes from, Mr. Anderson?
No, I don't.
It comes from the Eastern European Slavic people. Slavic people, who were first captured by Algerian Muslims well into the 19th century. And then there's this. Listen up. Nearly all civilizations had slaves. And on American shores, that included Aztecs, Mayans, Native Americans, and oh yes, African Americans. You do know that the first slave trader in America was a black, right? Of course you didn't know. And no, I'm not condoning slavery. I'm just trying to add a little perspective to the whole situation. And believe it or not, slavery did not start in America with white traders. Nope. The oldest known written references to slavery is the Hammurabi Code, which is a Mesopotamian. Egyptians followed this code while using labor from their enslaved Jewish race to build monuments, such as the tourist destination known as the Great Pyramids. The slave trade originated with Arabs. Is there a message there, Mr. Anderson? And when Islam took the religion, slavery became a bedrock of the Quran. Both sexual slavery and forced servitude are still prevalent today in Muslim societies. You knew, of course, that in addition to Washington and Jefferson, Muhammad was an owner of slaves, and like any good Muslim, at the dawn of the first millennium, Muslim societies grew in such a manner that the natural slave population could not procreate fast enough to meet the demand. Therefore, Muslims were the first people to import slaves from other races and regions to fill the demand for slave labor.
A brief pause.
Yeah, we got
a lot of distractions this morning.
Yeah.
but we're doing fine. Live radio.
I don't know what he wants in terms of the introduction, so maybe you can help me by making the introduction. Muslims were the first people to import slaves from other races and regions to fill the demand for slave labor. Of course, Muslim scholars promise us that Islamic slavery, the Zanj rebellion notwithstanding, was never cruel, which of course is a lie and fake news. Islamic supremacy mandates that only non-Muslims, except women and children, my words, can be kept as slaves. And the Quran specifically lays out that slaves are not worth the same in the eyes of Allah as a free person, and that's in verses 16:75. Allah sets forth the parable of two men, one a slave under the dominion of the other. He has no power of any sort, and the other a man on whom we have bestowed goodly favors from ourselves, and he spends thereof freely, privately and publicly. Are the two equal? By no means. Praise be to Allah. Then there is sexual slavery, which is heavily referenced in the Quran and Hadith. There are 4 separate Quran verses for instructing Muslims how to keep their sex slaves. After Muhammad and his men killed rival men in battle, their women were taken as sex slaves and raped with the permission of Allah, of course. In Austin, Texas, at an Islamic Relief fundraiser in 2016, Abdul Nasser Jangda stated that slavery in Islam is vastly different and superiorly morally and spiritually to the atrocious, obscene, and vile transatlantic slave trade, which they participated in. Okay, so back to the future. While the United States abolished slavery 2 centuries ago, at the demand of its own citizens, African countries under majority Muslim control such as Chad, Niger, Mali, Sudan have millions of slaves today, according to the United Nations. Regions like India and Pakistan are also rife with Islamic sex slaves, but get little to no media attention. He who controls the information controls the world. If anyone fighting against Trump cared about slavery or true oppression, there would be fighting for people who are slaves under the Islamic rule. But today, fighting against Islamics who are trying to make the West Sharia compliant doesn't happen. But you already know that the left isn't fighting against Trump to ensure equality for minorities today. The left wants revenge for perceived wrongs they feel their ancestors endured at the hands of whites, thanks to the false leftist narrative being pushed by the mainstream media. You got to have the bad guy, don't you? Who's the bad guy in today's America? Who's the bad guy 200 years ago? Yeah, it's Whitey. It's Whitey. Causing all those troubles, creating all that wealth. Oops, I'm sorry. Causing all those, well, yeah, at the hands of slaves, of course. Couldn't have done it without the slaves, right? Wow. When human nature is not restrained, sin takes over. Roger's right. Roger's right. In the next hour, we're going to be talking with Mason Weaver. And he's going to challenge your perspectives with a unique directness that will enable you to connect the dots in your world, bring clarity to reality, helping you navigate through the smoke, mirrors, and chaos of the world you live in, so that you will know where you stand, know what you believe, and know what direction you need to take. Prepare yourselves for a refreshing yet intense and unvarnished awakening. Welcome to the program, author of Tribalism, Mason Weaver. And I'm going to get into a description of Mason. But what do you think about all this what's going on in America, Mr. Anderson? We have ourselves just one stew brewing.
We do. And
Russians are in it, racism is in it, but we always have the same perpetrator. The guys that actually established the nation, that established freedom.
You know, devil's in the details, as BJ often says.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it is a spiritual war. Racism's fake. News is fake. And I agree with what we were talking about earlier with Roger and MacArthur. Family is a breakdown of the family. These kids that are out in the streets are kids. They're not even grown up yet, and they have no idea what they're out there doing. And why aren't their parents instructing them? Why do their parents?
Well, that's what the schools and churches are for, isn't it?
Well, they seem to be doing a bad job. So the parents
not according to them.
The parents need to be taking a little more charge.
The fox says not according to them.
The fox?
Yeah, that's guarding the hen house.
Oh, yeah. The fox guarding.
Yep.
Yeah. How could these kids even know what they're talking about? I don't. They haven't been around enough, and I bet a lot of them are living in their mom's basement.
Well, maybe.
And I don't see how they can support that.
Listen, our special guest has gone through life, Mason Weaver, with his eyes wide open, with his mind capturing the nuances and the dynamics of the world around him. He has uniquely ability to communicate how things really work. These perspectives will stir insights and revelations as he debunks myths, the media and the political manipulators. He draws a clear map to help navigate through the minefield of life. Hearken now to the wisdom of his gifted speaking in freedom, personality, spiritually, and politically. Is your guest then to stay tuned for our next guest, Mason Weaver, author of It's Okay to Leave the Plantation. Author of It's Okay to Leave the Plantation, The Rope, Diamonds in the Rough, Polishing the Diamond in the Rough, and Tribalism, which discusses social issues that affect us all, that bind us together. Noted for his quick wit, vigorous debate, and forceful oratory, Mason Weaver is a challenge to the opposition and an instructive, persuasive counselor to allies. Mason Weaver is a truth teller. Like the prophet of old, he tells it like it is, no matter who is affected or offends, with boldness, certainty, and clarity. Despite attempts to snuff out his very life and his message, his influence and audience continues to grow. His message has been articulated as an author, teacher, talk show host, platform speaker, business consultant, and guest commentator on national TV and radio newsworks, as well as churches' assemblies, YouTube, and the Internet. He has walked your streets, observed your interaction, and distilled the dynamics of this culture into the historical and contemporary pattern that govern our lives. In the next hour, you're about to be enlightened and entertained. And caution, truth is not always easy to hear, but it is the only path to freedom.
Amen.
Again, Mason Weaver is going to be coming up in about 2 minutes. I want to get that introduction out of the road because I want to hear more what he's got to say.
You want every minute, huh?
Yeah, every minute of it, because this is going to be a treat for you. Mason has been there. He's done that. He's been on both sides of the equation. And I kid that whenever I talk to Mason Weaver, I'm afraid to call him. Because every time I call him, he always challenges me, and he always gives me a direction change, and he always put more on my plate than I've already got enough on my plate as it is. But I still welcome his wit. I really, really, really respect his intelligence, and you'll find out what that is when we get him on here in about a minute or so.
So he lines up with Do Radio?
Yeah, oh my goodness, he sure does. He sure does. When he calls, you could take it orally, and then we can plug him in over here. Does that sound okay? To make sure we got him on board when he calls. This is B.J. Edwards, along with Mr. Anderson, your last call, WTVOradio.com, Activist Radio, Do Radio, Talk Radio with a Sting. If you're not looking for anything to do, then don't call us, because we're going to give you something to do. Go to BJ's website. Go to BJ's Facebook page or our website. And I'm sure after Mason gets done with you, well, bring a pad and pen with you in the next hour, because you're going to need it. Because you are going to get yourself some information that you just cannot believe. Again, Mason Weaver will be up here in about 1 minute. In the meantime, Mr. Anderson, if you would please.
Yeah.
Yeah, new board.
New board.
Uh-oh, gonna blow me out of the water here. We'll start with this then.
I got it.
Faith, discussion, and so much more. Last Call with BJ Edwards on WTVOradio.com.
B.J. Edwards along with Mr. Anderson. I think we've got Mason on the other line, and we'll be bringing him up shortly. Again, our special guest on Last Call program is Mason Weaver. He does live just outside of Ferguson, Missouri. Mason started out on one side of the tracks and flipped to the others until he ran into a white racist in the service who almost killed him. Mason says that the only thing that kept him alive was hate. He wanted to kill and find out white racists who tried to kill him. But the story has a great ending and a wonderful message for today's troubled society. I ran into Mason in Gettysburg, Virginia about 3 years ago at a racial reconciliation conference. And Mason just basically told it like it is. And I've been forever grateful. I consider him a great friend and an incredible scholar. Mason Weaver, can you hear us okay, sir? Yeah, let me get the volume up on you just a little bit. Go ahead, Mason, please.
I am live and in color.
Oh, stop already?
First thing in the morning. I've been working since 4:30 this morning, so my leg half over right now, man.
Oh, it is? Okay.
I've been burning bushes along the pond and splitting firewood and had my breakfast already and getting ready to get out here again.
Wow. So, Mr. Weaver.
Yes, sir.
Charlottesville, Virginia. We had an event that occurred down there, and it seems like there's a great deal of hysteria that's been generated as a result of that event. It seems that Whitey is back to his old bad habits again. He's discriminating. He's being a racist. He's putting down ethnic groups. What can we do about that?
Well, why do we care? I mean, is Whitey some monster? Is Whitey all-powerful? Is white people superior so much that we got to worry about how they feel about us? We have to worry about if they're going to care for us. I can give a fat rat's behind, brother, if white people like me or dislike me, don't care about me. I live in a county where there's only 1.7% white black folks that live here. Everybody I meet is white. I don't know if they like me or don't like me. I don't really care. I fought in the 60s for legal restrictions to be removed, civil rights. I didn't fight to make white folks like me. I wasn't fighting for a sandwich at the Greensboro lunch counter. I was fighting for the right to have my own lunch counter next door. White people not liking us should be of no concern unless you think they're inferior, if you are inferior to them, unless you believe that white people are superior to you. My dog is inferior to me. My dog requires me to feed her. Every time she's hungry, every time she's scared, every time she's sleepy, I must do something. I'm not a child of white America. I'm not a pet of white America. So if white racist people want to gather and carry their flag or do anything else in public, that's their right. And they better not bring it behind down my driveway and try to do anything. But other than that, I don't care. Why do we care? And you made the comment that it seems like things are going bad, but brother, all we see, all we know is what the press has been telling us. But if you and your listeners just focus on what they see every day, when they go to work, when they go to the restaurants, when they go to the ball game, when they're driving down the street, they see black people and white people on the bus together. What they see is not racial tension. They see grown folks going about their business, but when they come home, they turn on the 6 o'clock news, and they let the news tell them these racial problems. Well, maybe 100 white folks in Charlottesville, maybe 30 in Ferguson, maybe 10 in Baltimore, 10 in Berkeley for sure. And they represent all black folks, all white folks. We know, you and I are both old enough to know, brother, we have never cared about a Confederate flag until the NAACP said it's important. We didn't care about somebody with a statue. We did not care about the statue in Forest Park until the NAACP said so. Let's stop letting the press dictate to us how we interact with each other in public. We know America is not a racist country. It is a competitive country. But so if you want to compete, great. But I don't have any fear of white folks not liking me. I can care less.
We did a video this morning when the Virginia governor was slobbering all over himself, apologizing for the white hate, and that statues have to come down.
That's just, I mean, somebody tell me, what would a statue coming down do to stop 60 people from dying this weekend in Chicago from folks killing each other? How is a statue or a flag going to help black unemployment? What is it going to do to create these schools to teach scholars and competitors instead of these gang prep 101 classes? We are in charge of us, folks. Black people are in charge of black people. If you put your kid in these horrible schools, if you allow the rap stars to dictate the culture, if you let the singing song calling women bitches and hoes to be your norm, that's your problem. And white folks are not interested in solving your problems. Stop acting like a fool. You stop being a fool. White people have no control over you, none. A white racist cannot give you a job. A white racist cannot stop you from getting a job. We're chasing ghosts. The statue has to come down. Are you kidding me? Keep the doggone statue up. Just give me control over the finances you're putting in my school. In New Jersey, Camden, New Jersey, $23,000 per student per year. And less than 45% graduate. Come on, folks. Give Pookie Ray with that money. Put that money in the bank. Let him go to school for 4 years to get no education, and let him buy 18-wheeler trucks to go to business for himself. This is foolishness. We're allowing the government to dictate each one of us, white and black, what we like, we don't like. It's now illegal for you to call me a name. Are you kidding me? I'm a grown man. It's not illegal for you to call me a name. It may be dangerous. It's not illegal. It should not be illegal to be a racist. It should not be illegal to be a racist. Be a racist. Because right now, brother, if you put a store up whites only, nobody will go in that store. White people or black people. Let them do it. Let them be a racist. We understand that the racist are the boogeyman. He has no power at all over me.
Perception is reality. By the way, we're on the line with Mason Weaver, author of It's Okay to Leave the Plantation, The Rope, Diamond in the Rough, and Polishing the Diamond. And before I forget it, is there any contact information you'd like to have the folks to have out there?
Well, I am a capitalist, so I make it very easy for folks to give me money. My name is Mason Weaver. It's Mason Weaver on Twitter, Mason Weaver at MasonWeaver.com. It's MasonWeaver.com for my website. Just Mason Weaver. You can find me and argue with me or agree with me. Thank you.
Mason, the one thing that you've done several things for me, and I definitely appreciate your wisdom and your business sense. The one thing that you've taught me that I never really saw was the amount of slavery that's going on in the United States today. And it crosses ethnic lines, but it's just incredible how we have basically given ourselves over to master.
As a group, it was never about race. Slavery they tried each other first. They tried indentured servants first.
That's true.
It was too easy for that slave to escape and blend into society. They tried Indians, and it was just too easy. They knew the land. They had relatives over the hill. In the Caribbean, they tried to enslave the Indians. It wouldn't work, so they went to the Catholic Church and said, these few Africans you have here, gee, they don't have any friends, no family here. They don't know the land. They don't speak the language, and they work just as hard in the sun as the Indians do. Let's save the Indians. Let's kill them off. Let's save the Indians by bringing African slaves. That was the beginning of the slave trade in America. What worked? And now we're free. these slave masters don't mind white folks being slaves either. They're training these kids to be afraid of their own shadow. America, can you imagine Americans being a safe space? Are you kidding me? Our history proves that the tyrants need a safe space from the Americans. We're afraid of our flag. We got some fool athlete nearly refusing to take the national anthem, but you and I cannot say, we cannot put a statue up in our park. But we are enslaving ourselves today. Modern day slavery is voluntary.
I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. One of my weaknesses, by the way. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. And when I saw what happened in Cleveland in the last exposition game, I'm going, man, I don't know whether I want to be a Cleveland Browns fan.
Oh, you know you don't want to be a Cleveland Browns fan anymore. Come on. You just want to give it those expensive shirts you brought. What they are saying, brother, what they are saying is that the NAACP is asking for a meeting with the NFL to discuss this clown's First Amendment right. Folks, ladies and gentlemen, you do not have a First Amendment right from citizen to citizen, from citizen to business. You don't have that right. That right only, matter of fact, every line in the Constitution, every sentence relates to you and your government only. You got a First Amendment right to deal with your government, but not with my business. So if this clown draws such an angry response to his actions on the field or off the field, and his employer will lose money on his presence. His employer will lose money on boycotts. If that's the case, his employer has the right not to engage him in employment. Period. His employer has a right not to like him for any reason, and not want him on that field. If you're going to lose me money, you will not be working for me.
On a debate the other evening on TV, they were talking about Kaepernick, or whatever his name is.
I call him Puppernickel.
Puppernickel? All right, we'll call him Puppernickel. Puppernickel, and how he was the 13th or 15th best quarterback, and why isn't he employed in the NFL today? And the first thing that I thought was, well, we have a leadership issue here. Leaders don't divide. That you go in and say, okay, I'm here, and because of who I am, most of you aren't going to like me, or half of you aren't going to like me, and you're just going to have to deal with that. You don't do that as a leader. Leaders, and especially when you play on a quote-unquote team, and you want team effort, if I'm a left guard, and I don't necessarily agree with Puppernick, guess what? He's going to get sacked every now and then.
Well, even if I agree with him, last year, I did not watch one single down in any football game. I didn't watch any football ad. I cancel my yearly annual Super Bowl party at my home. So the NFL did not get the benefit of me watching their ads. The advertisers did not get the benefit of trying to sell me something. All because I don't have to watch football. It's a game. And if this clown wants to take the game and make it political, he will divide people along political lines. The NFL caters to Republicans and Democrats and socialists and communists, and everyone enjoys the game. But they're going to make it a game that declares that a multi-millionaire athlete is being discriminated against, then nobody's going to watch the game. And so those owners are trying to protect their investment and their income. He could be the best doggone quarterback in the league. But they're going to lose viewers. He's going to be gone. And that's why he was gone. Leadership, heck, he did lead. He led other players in kneeling down. He led. And now he led us behind on the bench, and now he's watching the TV at home now. He wants to get at home now. Hope he's enjoying himself, get a beer.
Well,
lead that crowd.
Again, I have an advantage. We're coming up on a break, so we'll take a quick break and get back with you, Mason. I have an advantage in that I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. So, like yourself, I don't watch a whole lot of NFL football, especially when my favorite team is on, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
When we get back, a couple items I want to talk about. Number one, on our web, we've got Mason Weaver says we are enslaving ourselves today. Do you think he is right? Let's talk about that a little bit. And I want to go into an experience that really changed your life. It was a great learning experience for you, a painful one.
Yep.
But a great learning
Painful
experience.
today. It's painful right now.
Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that. B.J. Edwards, along with Mr. Anderson, your last call, WTVOradio.com. Mason Weaver will be back in just about 30 seconds. Thanks.
Good show, man. I like what you're having
Stay
today.
tuned for Last Call with your host, B.J. Edwards.
We are back and we are online with Mason Weaver. First of all, Mason, are we enslaving ourselves today? How can you prove it?
How can I prove it?
Mm-hmm.
Name me one thing you do today that does not require government's permission or authority.
All right, now I thought you were going to play fair.
You cannot do one thing.
Well, yeah, but maybe 4 or 5.
Okay,
things.
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe one.
I can't.
Okay, I may be wrong. You're older than wise, but what can you do? When you woke up this morning, land under those government-approved sheets for fire resistance, and got in that car with a government-provided a tax on your gasoline, and drove to that studio and sat there in that microphone frequency controlled by the FCC, you have done nothing today. Not eat food, not put in your hot water heater, nothing. Your government has had a say, not just a say, but a controlling interest in everything you do. Everything you do. Your family can't even bury you when you die without the government permission, and then let me tell you where you're going to bury you at, brother. You can't do nothing today. They own you from birth. They may not own the conception, but they sort of own your death.
And we give them the money to do that.
Yes. Well, we allow them to confiscate the money. They take the money.
Yeah,
they have got us so intimidated. We vote for their choices. We don't vote for our choices. They present us, the political parties present us with choices, and we act like sheep to pick which wolf we going to have over us. You will not have a person that they don't pre-choose, which is why they hate Trump so much. Trump is coming in shaking things up. He's not just shaking the tree. He's cutting the tree down, and they were going to whine everybody. He is fighting Democrats, Republicans, the media, the donor class. He's fighting all of them, and we are cheering him. We cannot wait for 2018 to vote one of them clowns out of office.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. You, I don't understand, Mason, why, well, I guess I do understand, why you're not more prevalent on TV. Why Tucker Carlson doesn't have you on every night or every other night, especially during this racism hysteria.
I understand. Tucker Carlson had me on once. I blew the ratings up. Trish Reagan had me on once a week every Friday. I blew the ratings up. I mean, she would get 30,000 views on everybody's interviews. On my interviews, she'd get 200,000 views. They all have the same problem. Rush Limbaugh has 5 copies of my book. He has quoted my book, but never said what he was quoting. And I understand. And the real reason why, I think, when I talk to these guys, and I've been on Politically Correct once. I usually go only on one time. Mm-hmm. I've been on Fox and Friends once every 3 years, and it's the same response. The problem is I don't play that game. They're for ratings. They will interview and discuss foolish topics, hoping to generate public anxiety. And I cut right to the bone, and I leave them bleeding. I was on Fox and Friends in the morning. 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm in an interview going up there to the studio. They called me from the car and said, Mason, by the way, you won't be on by yourself. You're going to be on with one of the founders of Black Lives Matter. They're trying to spring it on me. I'm saying, you must not have any respect for her. You're going to put her on the air with me? Okay. But understand, I don't respect her. I will not be polite to her. I will not identify myself with her gender. I will not be sweet and polite. She is an enemy. She is my opponent. I'm a warrior. She's a warrior. So therefore, put her on if you want to. I went off on her. She spoke for 3 minutes. And I went off on her. How dare you even be in my presence? You are a self-righteous, self-hating black woman who hates black men and black people. You think white people are superior to you. You think you're inferior to white people. You are shameful. I went off on her. and they, for some reason, have not invited me back again. I don't understand. It's something it was just something I say.
I love it, Mason. I absolutely love it. But I want to see, and maybe I'm on Tucker Carlson's Facebook page. Maybe I'll put some plugs in there. And listeners, here's a to do for you.
Tucker Carlson hunted me down. They called me on a Sunday morning. I put up a video about John Lewis. I did it spontaneously from my basement.
Mm-hmm.
He got 300,000 views that day. Tucker Carlson called me Sunday afternoon. Can you come on Monday? I said, sure. And we did it, and it was by far the most responsive video I've ever done on any TV program I've ever done TV. It was by far the great. Before I walked out of the studio, I had 100 messages on my phone. And they loved me. But it have not brought me back. I think after doing it for 35 years now, I think I understand. I understand why. And I have put myself in a position never to need them. Tucker Carlson does not feed me. Even though I was popular, I didn't sell any books. Not anything worthwhile. I sell books for a living. I make my living going out in front of an audience. If you put me in front of an audience to speak, I will motivate them to do two things. I will motivate them to look at this nation differently, and I will motivate them to go outside and buy a book. That's how I take care of my living. I live pretty good. So I don't need Tucker Carlson. I can go and say what I want to say. I love Tucker Carlson. I love Sean Hannity, man. Sean Hannity had a program years ago. I gave a speech in Compton, California, and they threatened to kick the kid out of school for the crime of inviting me to speak. The school chancellor demanded an apology in writing from this kid, or they want to suspend him from having me come to speak on the campus. And for 3 weeks, Sean Hannity discussed this case. He interviewed the black students who were protesting. He interviewed the chancellor. He interviewed everybody but me. And I called 3 times and said, hey, let's talk about what happened on the campus. They said, well, we got enough information. Even though I was the topic, the title of my book, It's Okay to Leave the Plantation, was the poster they put up. Sean Hannity, for 3 weeks, did not want me on the show. Because Sean Hannity only wants, at that time, he only wanted liberals on the show. He wanted to show how smart he was, and he didn't want anybody else to show that they're more intelligent. So, you're right, man. TV and radio shy away from real strong conservatives. And they want you, when you go on, to play a game with them. They want you to play the hostage game, the crisis game. What are we going to do? We have to compromise. We have to reach out to the other side. We got to find common ground. We got to stop this on time. No. Those fools who are left are idiots. They're wrong for America. They hate America. I'm not going to compromise. I'm not going to try to find common ground with some nut breaking into my home.
Yeah, we need more Mason Weaver and less Speaker of the Houses, Speaker of the Houses on these programs.
Can you imagine these guys, man? These guys they are used to being the second place team. They are used to losing. They made their money losing. They do not want to lead. They don't want to, I can't imagine how it will feel to be so timid that you would do anything to keep from being called a name. I'm a black conservative male. Can you imagine the names I'm called even by family members? Call me a name. What does that do? Why does that hurt me so much to be called a name? You think I'm crazy? So what? Gee, you think I'm Uncle Tom? Yeah. So what? My bank account has not changed because you think I'm Uncle Tom. Now, I call myself a only child with 5 siblings. I don't talk to none of them. I have nothing to say.
But that's part of the indoctrination, and if we're going to be fair and balanced, and if we're going to be objective, you've got to be, or somebody like you, Mason, has to be in that mix to add the balance that we need. I would like to overbalance it. I'm not talking about me wanting horizontal. I want vertical, like Vertical Now, which is secular humanist. That's all you get is just straight up and down secular humanism. And something that we have lost, and I know you agree with, is that the Bible clearly states that where the Spirit of the Lord is, there you find liberty. And when we're threatened by not having personal sovereignty, it's because we don't know the difference between right and wrong. We are a amoral society. and it's
Sir,
anarchistic.
I think we do know the difference. I think that's why they get so loud. They deny the truth, knowing it is the truth, and they accept the lie, knowing it is a lie. These people are not being fooled. They hate the truth. It's like if you were a fungus and I was a rose, we could not grow side by side. You need darkness. You could not grow with the roses. So why are we trying to find common ground? Why are we trying to compromise? These people want to go left and you want to go right. Any compromise, they win. If you have a clear glass of pure water and a glass of muddy water, any compromise with that clear water makes it muddy, even one drop. So they're not tolerant of us. They hate us, and they proclaim their hatred for us, and demand that we love them. Well, I don't hate them, but you're not going to sit at my decision of decision making. You're not going to sit at the table to make decisions. You are not qualified. You're like a child who's at the house on the weekend, and mom and dad comes home to see the party. We've seen the party now. You're on punishment.
You're bringing up a great point that I don't want the audience to miss, and that is non-compromising. And I know Mrs. BJ listens to this show, and we've had discussions about this. But when somebody says something to me like I was on a Facebook or a neighborhood Facebook type social media, and somebody said, "Well, we need to light candles tonight," and because of the hate that white folks have and the racism that's going on. And instead of accepting that, I said, whoa, wait a minute. What hate? What racism? And, of course, I caught the dickens because I questioned.
You make them think. That's painful, bro. You made them think.
Yeah, and I did.
That's painful.
Whether that really existed or not. And you're right. And you could, it was like piling on. I must have gotten.
Because they can't. Remember, you cannot think and stay liberal. You can only have emotions. If America was racist, how the heck did we get Barack Obama? Twice.
Yes.
Twice. See, the truth is, if you think it's racist, you're justified in being a failure. See, if you and I and five other folks, black folks, sit around the table, we talk about how the white man got us down, how the white man controls everything, how the white man won't let us get ahead, we have a pity party. But if you get up on the table and go out and compete against white people and have any kind of success, you make us look lazy. You make us look like we just were too lazy to do it. So we have to talk about you and put a label on you. He's a sellout. Tom. That's exactly. So they hate success. They have to hate success to justify their own failures. When I was in college, I had the same problem in college. I was hating everybody, blind as that mess about white man got me down, and finally I realized something and started competing like I've always done before. Like I said, I went to an all-white school, all-white county, and graduated ahead of my class. Gee, I guess I had a brain. I don't know, play basketball. I just did not understand the concept. I know that if you cut a white man, he go bleed too.
Well, you had mentioned early on, which is a great point. Man, in essence, is a creature of habit, and we're so used to finishing in second place. That would be conservatives, that would be Christians, that would be those that are holding the truth. That we're so comfortable with that position, and again, change is threatening. We prefer to keep that same old mechanic that keeps giving us an oil leak, and we keep having to come back, as versus changing to somebody that is going to give us what we're looking for.
Yeah, it's easier to be a slave if you're afraid of the wolf. It's easier to stand there and let someone take care of you. They will take care of you. They will feed you. They give you low-income housing, never high-income housing. They give you minimum wage, never maximum wage, as long as you're begging. They came out of the 70s, but they came out with a program. Once we won the civil rights, they came out with a program to guarantee us 10% of all government contracts. I was a senior contract negotiator for the Department of Energy, conference with clearance. And we had this program to guarantee 10% of the government contracts to go to minority people, black folks. I said to my supervisor, so you're going to keep 90%, sir? Is that what you're saying? You're going to give us 10%. but you keep 90%? I said, no, let's just compete. Because everything black people think we can do, once we believe we can do it, we dominate. We believe we can play basketball, even though white folks didn't like us doing that. We believe we can play football and baseball and singing and dancing, and we dominate because we think we can do it. And you're just afraid. You're afraid that one day we're going to wake up and think we can run a business. Think we can be mad and raise our kids. Think we can succeed against you in competition. That's your fear because you love your kids. You don't hate my kids. You don't hate me. You love your kids. And you don't want your kids to be competing against my kids because my kids will dominate your kids.
We're speaking with Mason Weaver. Mason, we're going to take a quick break. And please, when we come back, I want you to talk about, you had to pay a heck of a price to get where you are today. It almost killed you to get where you are today. And I really think it's important that our audience know that. And I really want to get into a little more detail on that when we come back. B.J. Edwards, along with Mr. Anderson, your last call. And Mason, your mic is hot during our break, so bear with us, okay?
All right. Thank you, sir.
Keeping you informed. This is Last Call with B.J. Edwards.
We have some technical difficulties today, so we can't take callers. We're getting our what is this we have up here? The internet YouTube internet seems to be getting a little bit of activity on it, which I can understand, which is great. Yep. We're on with Mason Weaver, who is a author and one of the most intelligent people that I have ever met, and who likes to put me to work, and who gave me, to get this interview with you today, I had to sell my soul. I now have a commitment to you, which I should have done a year ago. And I'm not going to get into detail about it, but you are good. You are good. Hey, speaking of being good, you weren't always good. You were brought up with a little bit of an attitude. What happened?
Well, you know, I grew up in St. Louis until I was 11 years old, in the hood, same neighborhood that Michael Spinks' brothers was at, right, were living. And I moved out to the country. They had me in this little program for slow learners because, you know, if you're slow learners, you get more money for the school district. All the black kids were slow learners. And I moved out here to the white neighborhood with 1 month left of the 5th grade, and I was already scheduled to spend 2 years. It was a scheduled program, 2 years in 5th grade. So I moved out that St. Louis area, down to a small country town. 1 month left of my first year in the 5th grade. They did not have a program for Negroes. There was no incentive for them to have any such a program. So guess what? I passed the 5th grade. And by the time I was a junior, I had caught up with my class, and I was actually ahead of my class, able to graduate as a senior, even though I was a junior. So I went to the school counselor and asked him, could I graduate? The school counselor looked at me like I was a fool and said, why would you want to go to college, Mason? All you would do is take a seat for more than 30 white kids. Let me call down to the shoe factory and see if I can get you a job with the other colored boys. I didn't take it personally. I knew that I was competing against this guy's son for everything in school. I beat that kid in everything in this class, academically and athletically. So I ignored him. The next week, I overheard the coach. I'm the only black player on the basketball team. And he asked him about the senior year, are we going to start Mason? He said, no, I'm not going to start Mason because he will take a scholarship from the white kids. We're going to play him often. We're not going to start him. So I walked around the corner and told the coach, hey, coach, guess what? You don't have to worry about me. I will not be here next year. Arlene was Jim. Will graduate. I had 11 in 3 sports a year. They couldn't waive Jim. So I dropped out of high school, went to St. Louis, and joined the Navy the same day Dr. King was murdered, April 4th, 1968. Went to Vietnam, but did not get a scratch on me. I'm a high school dropout. Come back to San Diego, and in a white racist shipmate, my shipmate ordered him to help me move 2,800 pounds of steel with another black guy because they were going to give this white racist my all-black work team while I went on a trip, and they would have killed him. I ordered this white boy who hated me. I thought he just was a competitor. I knew his enemy. I ordered him to take control of 1.5 tons of steel. I turned and watched him as he released the steel plate on me. And I turned around facing him and hit me in my left hip, crushed me into that steel wall, crushed my ribs, broke my ribs, crushed my hips, broke my pelvis and muscle faces, ruptured my bladder, my spleen, crushed my steel helmet to the wall, broke my knees, and I laid under 1.5 tons of steel, dying. I knew I was dying. I screamed in pain, opened my eyes up, and looked at him in his eyes. I saw hatred to such a great degree, I stopped screaming. I may die in front of you behind, but you're not going to watch me scream at you behind when I'm dying. And finally, even though 8 white guys rescued me, even though white guys took me to the ambulance, even though my doctor was white, I hated everything about white America. I was done. I was done trying to make amends, done trying to get along with white folks. I was done with trying to find my way in this country, done about hoping to get a career. I was absolutely, completely done. And I lay in the hospital bed. It gave me a week to live. I was crushed. My spine was crooked. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't speak, couldn't talk. All I do was lay in that bed, looking straight at the ceiling, wondering how am I going to get out of this bed so I can kill him. Finally, I recovered. Even though they said I wasn't going to recover, everything white folks said I couldn't do, I did the opposite. White man said I was going to die. I lived.
So there.
Just to spite him. Went to Berkeley, ran with the Black Panther Party, other angry black men. I broke up with a girl once because she had a white dog. I wanted nothing to do with white people. I took black history. I took Swahili. I got a second degree in both classes at Berkeley and Murray College. I got a second degree in black history. Speak Swahili fluently today. Hated everybody white. I went to Berkeley. Berkeley had 35,000 white students, brother. I don't know one white student's name at Berkeley. And it took a spiritual transformation for me to realize what was really going on with me.
Whoa. What does that mean? What does that mean?
Well, my anger and my frustration wasn't about white people. I was disobedient to God. I was not paying attention to what God had called me to do. God had been trying to get my attention all of those years. I kept saying, I'm too busy. I can't do that right now. I had a voice. I had prominence. I had charisma. And instead of using that for righteousness, I used it to get girls. I had a nice car. I had game, brother. And I was running the streets so much, God kept tapping me on my shoulder. So finally, God laid my behind down in the hospital bed where I couldn't do nothing but listen. I could do nothing but think. And God said, you got a minute now? Can we talk now, dude? Can we talk now? And I started listening. And eventually, everybody I was around hated God. As a militant, you had to hate God. As a militant, you had to hate white people. They were at fault. They were the reason they owed you something. And I think, why have we forgiven the Germans for World War II? We trade with them now. Why have we forgiven the Japanese? They destroyed all of Asia, and we have rebuilt Asia for them, and now we trade with them. How come we can't forgive the white man who enslaved us? Why are we sitting out here in an enclave that he put up called ghettos, begging for food stamps and government cheese programs? He's prospering. We demanding more government cheese? What's wrong with this picture? Something was wrong. You have to, I got to tell you before, I turned my back on the truth, knowing it was the truth. I knew from living in this white community, I can't compete with white folks on every level. Academically, spiritually, and I can compete. I know I could. But I was still telling myself the white man got me down. So finally I realized everything black people think we can do, we dominate. That's what I came up with this idea. I had a white teacher teaching black history. This fool was a white, blue-eyed German teaching me black history. This kind of ass telling me how hard it is being black. I'm saying, Dad, what? How hard? I said, how long you been black? How long you been? The heck you mean, fool? I got insulted. You gonna tell me how hard? I said, I tell you what.
That takes brass. I mean, that really takes brass to do that. Go ahead.
I mean, no, don't forget now. I went to Vietnam first, before I went to Berkeley.
Yeah.
I was older than most of those kids.
Yeah.
I had seen the world, man. I asked the professor, where would you rather be black? Where would you rather be white? You got your behind from Germany here, because it's better here than any place on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Where can I find black folks in any country making less money than they are here? Where can I find black folks in any country where the athletes and movie stars making less money, much influence? Where can I find anywhere black people are healthier? What do you mean it's bad being a black man in America? You're here, and I'm here. We're competing in America. This is my country. I'm a veteran. I love this country. I don't like the rules here. I'm trying to change the rules of the game because I want to get into the game. I want to get into the game. I could not live where I want to live. I couldn't work where I want to work. I was fighting for that because if I let those burdens off of me, I will compete against you and take all you have. He's talking about how white men owe me something. No, but you can owe me. I'm going to take all you got. I'm going to take your job from you, your career from you. I'm better than you what this is. You cannot survive being a black man 200 years in America. You'll melt away. I survived. I'm here. And that anger forced me to reevaluate who I was hanging with. Everybody around me kept saying, I'm a victim. I'm not a victim. That white boy didn't kill me. He wanted to kill me. I survived. He's the victim now. Black folks, listen, understand. The only thing white man can do to you who may hate you was convince you not to compete. You control these schools. Demand your school teach your kids entrepreneurship. Demand it teach them how to save. Demand your kids learn how to do something other than dancing and singing and rapping. Learn how to compete in this country. This country is made for business owners, not workers. Be a business owner. So I knew, brother, I had a bad back, bad knees. I could not work for nobody for 30 years to retire. I knew my future could not include a retirement party. I had to learn about this system called capitalism and why rich folks call it cash flow and poor folks call it making dough. And I learned that system to make money come to me. So I am disabled, unemployed, but I have no job, but I do have income. Because I learned how to make this system work. It's not based on black or white. It's based on green.
I got a note from one of our listeners. I quit high school in my senior year because my white coach who taught government didn't know what he was talking about. And I joined the Navy, too.
Wow. You know, I was the fastest mile runner in my county. I was the fastest cross-country runner in my county. But I never ran one race. Even though I trained the milers doing practice, they had to chase my behind doing practice. But I did not run one race because the coach said black folks don't run a mile. I said, fool, you're looking in the eye of the fastest miler in the county, and you still going by this mantra of black folks don't run a mile. What the heck goes on in practice? That's foolishness. And all he wanted to protect his class. I mean, this guy, old friend, this coach and I are good friends now. That was 45 years ago. We're good friends now. But that was stupid. And I'm not going to let anybody keep me. Folks, America is not a racist country. You may have racists here, but it is not a racist country. People do not care about your race. Black folks care about their race. White folks care about their income, their children, the culture, the crime, the job, the retirement, making money. We care about black and white. Get off of that. When they had that little thing at Stone Mountain a couple years ago, I took my family to Stone Mountain. There's supposed to be racists there. There's supposed to be people there that hate black folks. I took my camper. We camped out in the campground. All white folks. The black folks don't camp out. I'm the only one out there. I camped out trying to find the racists, trying to find them. I ain't met racists in a long time. I want to meet some. Have dinner with them.
You're amazing.
We camped out. We went to the first thing, folks, you got to pass through a black neighborhood to drive to Stone Mountain. It's the most beautiful park I've ever seen, except maybe Yosemite. Clean. The monument is a holy. People were whispering. It's their holy site. It's a memorial, and it was beautiful. I met these white folks talking to them about what's going on. They started talking about what's going on, and guess what? We all love America. One dude said, "It's my heritage." I said, "I know it's your heritage. I'm glad you lost the war." It ain't my heritage. I'm glad to love football. Let's have a drink. Have a cup of coffee with me. Because I don't mind him. I mean, what's the heritage for? Fried chicken? What tractor pulling? I don't know what the heritage was. But I'm just glad you lost the war. My neighbor out here, not out here, but back in California, flew a Confederate flag. Well, only I can see it. And he asked me one day, does my flag offend you, Mason? I said, why was your flag and you ought to offend me? Well, you know, you people. I said, what do you mean? Rich, handsome black man? What are you talking about? You people. He said, what does it symbolize to you, Mason? I said, it symbolizes the flag of the losers. You lost.
So wave it proudly, right?
Yeah, every time I see a flag, it reminds me that America, white men and black men band together to kick you in your narrow behind.
Hey, Mason, we're going to take a quick break and come back. I appreciate your sense of humor. This is B.J. Edwards, along with Mr. Anderson. This is your last call, WTVOradio.com. We've been having a delightful conversation with Mr. Mason Weaver, who has been on both sides of the political issue with regards to racism. We'll be back shortly. B.J. Edwards along with Mr. Anderson. Last call.
And they're all crying.
Stay tuned for Last Call with your host, B.J. Edwards.
None of us are free. None of us are free.
Mason, it sounded like to me after that white racist tried to kill you that the only thing that kept you alive was your hate for him. And then you radically came out of that. Did you ever try to look this individual up, or what are your feelings about that individual now?
I would wake up for years. I would wake up with my jaws sore from being clenched all night. I mean, it was intense hatred. I would wake up with a cold sweat, seeing his face. I had pledged to myself that I would kill him. If I don't care where I saw him at. If I saw him in front of the police department giving a speech, I was going to try to put my hands on his throat and squeeze that look off his face. I spent my next couple of years assuming I was going to go to prison. There was no way, I cannot see no way that he and I could live on the same planet together. But then, I'm driving down the freeway. This is honest answer. I'm driving down the freeway from San Diego to Oakland. I've been studying slavery. I've been studying slavery with Jews and slavery with black Africans. And it all led back to Christ. I've never seen people go into slavery while they're praising God. I've never seen them come out of slavery until they start praising God. So I'm studying what this relationship with God is. And I'm on the freeway. The guy got those disciples. They saw something that changed their lives, the resurrection. They saw the man they knew for 3 years come out the grave alive. If I was going to believe that, I was going to believe that God Almighty came out the grave for me, that God Almighty let sinful men beat him for me personally by name. If he allowed his body to be cut up and nailed to the cross, thinking about Mason by name, if he did not compromise with me on that cross, I could not compromise with him on the earth. Now, on that drive, brother, I had to understand, I had to grab, I had no muscles in my hip. I had to grab my pants leg to bring my feet off the gas onto the brake and grab it again and put off the brake onto the gas. That's how I drove the car, holding on my pants leg. I had no muscles in my hip. I stopped and got gas. I mean, when I accepted that death, it felt like somebody poured warm oil on my body. I stopped and got gas. I got me a little snack. Got back in my car again. Drove up down the freeway. I'm heading down the freeway before I realized I had not needed to take my pants to put my feet off the gas onto the brake. I got that car, pumped gas, walked in the gas station like a normal man, walked back, got in my car, and drove off. I was healed instantly. Because what happened, I had to forgive that white guy. Forgave him before he apologized. before I got affirmative action, before the AA program, I had to forgive him before God could forgive me of my sins, of which I had plenty to be forgiven for. So my requirement was, I had to forgive him. Let it go. I had to let it go. Because once I became Christ, I didn't own my own body, so he didn't sin against me. It wasn't personal. When I forgave that dude, I was able to now compete in America. How can I compete in a country that I hated 8,500 folks that live here?
Yeah.
It was foolishness. I had to compete. I went home and told my girlfriend, you got to either change your last name or change your address. You can't live here without marrying me. Either play me or trade me, because either God made you for me or you're in the way of me finding who God made for me. We've been married 32 years last week. Once I accepted the calling of my life, God then protected me. So I can go into the lion's den. I can go into places where people hate me. I can go into places that people despise me, and the angels of God walking before me. This future belongs to the bold, folks. It belongs to the bold. The history belongs to the bold. Everybody you know from history was bold. So stop being shy. Stop worrying about who hates you. Stop worrying about who's against you, and worry about who is for you, and stand on those principles, and God Almighty will guide the steps, and He will enlighten what you're looking for. We got to stop looking at Master and start looking at the Master.
We've got about 5 more minutes. I see football players. I see them go into schools, and I see them encourage children. You've been a real player in life. First of all, have you ever had an opportunity to speak to classes of students? And
oh yeah.
What's the message that you tell them? And I know it's involved, but what's the main message that you would tell them?
It's not involved. It's real simple. if you can dream it, it's something for you to do personally, and it might not be what your teacher taught you to do, or your classmates, or your family. Your dream is giving you a vision, and if you whatever you work at, you're going to have, and whatever you feed, you're going to have. Negative or positive, whatever you feed, you're going to have. Mm-hmm. Now, you asked me once a little while ago, when I met that guy again. I never saw him again. I had been looking for him the last few years. I've been looking for him to see if he's still what he was back then. Mm-hmm. And I give a lot of speeches to major groups, and I was going to go to Nashville once. I was pretty sure I had found him. I was pretty sure this is the right guy. And I had his phone number, I had his background, his age was right, he served in the military, everything was right. And I started to call him. I thought it'd be very nice. I'm talking in front of 10,000 people at the Grand Opry Hotel out there in Nashville, and it'd be really great to tell that story and bring this guy on stage to give him a hug. You know, give him a handshake and talk to him. It'd be great. As I dialed that number, though, the thought came to me, what if he hadn't changed? Mm. What if he's still angry? What if he said, Mason, I'm sorry I didn't kill you? Boy, could I forgive him twice? You know, once was enough. Could I forgive him twice? I put the phone down. I just don't want to know. I don't want to know. I know how I am now. He could find me if he wanted to find me. He probably forgot about it because it didn't affect him. But a second, because the Navy didn't do anything. Navy said an accident. The Navy had to say that. So he was. I can tell by his eyes. I saw him in the hospital. He came with the whole crew. He was sorry. He was sorry. And you know, I don't. I like to know, but then again, I don't want to know. You know.
Well, Mason, you've done your part. You have done your part, and that's the forgiveness end of it.
Yeah.
What happens next? And it might be a timing issue. It may be. You may be right that God was telling you, nope, it's not time yet. And you may never know, Mason. You may never know in this lifetime what happened there. But I trust your instincts, and I know you well enough to know that when you put that phone down, it was for a good reason. And it'll either come to you or you'll find out in the next world, if it's necessary to find out in the next world, what really happened there. But all you need to know is you have definitely done your part. And the fact that you can publicly say, here's a guy that tried to kill me, meant me no good, he's whitey, and guess what I did? I forgave him. And you know what happened after that? I became a better person.
Hey, you know what? A great example for the world. What happened in North Carolina when that white guy went into that church and killed those 9 people?
Mm-hmm.
First thing they did, the next day, they forgave him.
Forgave him, yes.
And no riot, no demonstration, no Jesse Jackson, no Al Sharpton, no Black Lives Matter. God covers that forgiveness. But in Baltimore, a few weeks earlier, riot, hate, destruction, nobody forgave anybody. There is a power, like I got a video telling that story what happened to me, called The Power of Forgiveness, the Mason Weaver story. There is power in forgiving. It's one of the few powers we have. When the Lord's Prayer was given, Jesus went back and covered one part of that prayer. So it's very important to go back and say, if you do not forgive your trespasses, your Father in heaven will not forgive you yours. There's a lot of power that we do not use. So, folks, use your power to get what you want.
That's a great message, and we're going to have to go in about a couple minutes. Before we do, would you mind giving contact information for yourself again, Mason?
Yes, it's masonweaver.com, my website, my videos. You can email me at masonweaver@masonweaver. You can do a Google search for my books on Amazon.com. It's okay. The New Plantation, Tribalism, tells you the truth of what's happening out here in this world, folks. I do Twitter, I do Facebook, I do YouTube, all under the name Mason Weaver.
And brother, blessings to you. You've been a blessing to me. You continually to challenge me in areas that I need to be challenged in, and I have to get over the fear of talking with you.
Well, I'm just switching to work, that's all.
I know.
I'm just switching to work, do your assignments.
I know that. And I also know that have been assigned my case, which
yeah. You're a truckload too, brother.
Yeah, I know that. What your message today, and there's a lot of them. The key, I'm sure, is the forgiveness message. As a group of people in the United States, you talked about empowering yourselves. Just forgiving would turn not only your life around, but this nation's fate around.
Instantly.
Yep.
Instantly.
But that's not the message we're hearing.
Brother, you're absolutely correct. And also giving. My granddaughter's 12, 14 years old now. We spend all summer cutting down trees, putting them in logs, splitting them up, stacking them up. We don't need firewood. We spend all summer, they work hard all summer to watch me give that wood away to folks who need heat all winter. And they load my pickup truck up, and we go to some old folks' house and unload our pickup truck and watch the gratitude they have for us, knowing the work it took. And they feel so good giving that wood away. And now they understand giving. You cannot outgive God. You cannot outgive God. Try it. See if you can.
Yeah, boy, I hear you, brother. You're such a blessing. Hey, we've been speaking with Mason Weaver, and please, these shows are archived on the naturalfamilyfoundation.org website. Please feel free to take this and share it with all of your friends. I think there's a great message here today, and there's a lot of growth that can be experienced by just listening to this and practicing not what I say, but what Mason has said and what he's been through. Mason, God bless you, brother. We're going to disconnect you now, but we thank you very much for your time, and may God go before you and clear the path.
Stay right, brother, or be left. Eternity's a long time to be wrong, friend.
Come back and visit again.
We'll do that. God bless you.
All right. There isn't a whole lot more, and I don't have a whole lot more time anyway to say, but I really want to encourage you to please share this information with your friends, with your family, with those that are struggling with what's happening in the nation today, especially with the quote-unquote racism issue. You have more control than you think you have, regardless of your skin color or your ethnicity. You have a lot more control than you can ever imagine. And I hope that Mason has been as much a blessing to you as he has been to me. And I hope he causes you as much work as he's going to cause me.
Change starts with the heart, then in the home, in the family, and your children.
again, I'm so glad I went down to Gettysburg and met Mason. And I've told you, I think, some of the story before, but we don't have time to get into it. We're going to be off the air. So this is B.J. Edwards.
Time to go.
Along with Mr. Anderson, your last call, WTVOradio.com. NaturalFamilyFoundation.org for the program.
Join us next week on WTVOradio.com for Last Call with B.J. Edwards.